So I said to the guy, is that an Octorok in your pants? Or are you just happy to see me? Oh. So Nintendo is hard at work on an HD remake of Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. From that announcement trailer we got, it looks like it's shaping up to be something really special for Zelda fans. I honestly can't wait to see more of it at E3 right around the corner. But while I'm on that hype train, I thought it would be cool to go over my top 5 favorite Zelda games of all time. If you guys like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can see more of my content, and also give me a like and sound off in the comment section below to let me know what are your top 5 favorite Zelda games. But without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so number 5 on the list is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now this game featured a massive open world that is unmatched by any other game in the series. It had a sense of discovery that I only wish more AAA open world games would offer. It had over 100 shrines, which were like mini dungeons that were creative and fun and challenging. They used your special abilities and had puzzles that were physics-based. Really cool. It also had an art style that was just gorgeous and suited the Zelda series really well. It almost invoked like a Miyazaki anime Princess Mononoke kind of vibe, and I absolutely loved it. The game let you tackle it how you wanted to. It let you approach different scenarios differently and go wherever you wanted to when you wanted to. It was in no way linear at all. And one of my favorite things about it was playing this game and then sharing stories with other friends who are playing and seeing just different ways that we were approaching the game and where we went first and different things we discovered. It's something that I haven't really experienced since I was a kid, before you could look up all the spoilers on the internet or all the secrets on the internet. But this game was just massive and fantastic. It's the first one that lets you just suit up with tons of different armor that you're able to level up, and tons of different weapons and items. The only problem with this game, and the only thing that knocks it back on my list, is that while this game was super innovative, and not just for Zelda, but for other open world games, it kind of ditched some of the staples that I really love about Zelda, like themed dungeons. Now, we got Divine Beasts, 4 of them I believe in Breath of the Wild, and while they were fun, they were kind of just reskins and bigger shrines. The bosses in them were kind of rehashes of one another with a slight variation in their looks, and kind of similar approaches to defeating them. Also, another thing was the weapon system. Unfortunately, weapons break so fast in this game, constantly ditching and replacing weapons. And while there is an abundance of them in the game, I would have liked weapons to be more durable and for the game to offer some sort of repair system, so you could find something you really like and hang on to it. I mean, even the Master Sword had a cooldown once you used it enough times. And then there was issues with the weather system. While I love the dynamic weather system, the rain, oh my gosh, I swear every time I needed to climb a cliff in this game, it would start raining and I'd slide down. But other than that, this game is absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing, it's innovative. I honestly can't wait to see where the Zelda team goes next and how they build upon the foundations that they started with Breath of the Wild. Alright, so number 4 on my list is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Now this game is absolutely incredible. It is timeless, and on any given week or any given month, this is sometimes my number 2 on the list, but right now I'm going based off of how I feel this month, and I'm going to put it in the number 4 slot. But this game was such a huge jump from the first 2 games on the NES, and featured a gorgeous 2D open world with beautiful 2D sprites. The music is absolutely iconic and is transcended the series and gone on to have new iterations of some of the classic tunes in future titles. But this game was loaded with dungeons. It was the first to feature both a light world and a dark world. I can't say enough good things about this game. Great dungeons, great bosses, and it's one of those games that I revisit, if not once a year, every other year. I've probably purchased this game easily 4 or 5 times, whether it's Virtual Console or on handheld. But A Link to the Past is what I consider as close to a perfect game as you can get. So now we're down to top 3, and this is where things get dicey. This is so hard. I always struggle with these 3 games, and they kind of rotate. Well, excluding my number 1. My number 1 is always my number 1. But 3 and 2 kind of flip back and forth depending on my mood. And number 3 is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now, this game was such a huge part of my childhood. It was my first game on the N64. I got the N64 late. I really wanted one growing up, and I remember going to the store. I had saved up, and they were completely sold out of them. So I picked up a PlayStation instead with Spyro the Dragon and like a demo disc. And it wasn't until like maybe a year or so later that I picked up my N64 and got Ocarina of Time with it. And this game just blew my mind. The first 3D open world Zelda game that featured horseback riding, this gorgeous version of Hyrule, all the beautiful music. I remember playing through this game and doing the 3 dungeons as a kid and thinking I'm making my way to the boss and pulling that sword, and I'm like, oh my god, and getting that time jump from the past to future and getting to play as adult Link for the first time was really cool. This game also features probably some of my favorite dungeons in the entire series, like the Forest Temple and the Spirit Temple and the Shadow Temple. So fun. This game introduced my favorite villain in the whole series, Ganondorf, as who's become such a staple for the series and such an iconic character in Nintendo in general, with awesome items like the hook shot and the gauntlets that let you lift massive pillars and boulders like Hercules. This game was fantastic and really kind of shaped my childhood. I think this was the one that really turned me into a hardcore Zelda fan. So number 2 on my list is The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Now this is by far the darkest game in the entire series. It deals with dark themes like tragedy and loss and death and the end of the world. In this game, you have 3 days to stop Majora from sending the moon crashing into Clock Town, and throughout that period you get to see, as each day passes, how different NPCs are basically coping with and coming to terms with what's about to happen, reacting to their impending doom. This game also featured a unique mask system where you collect masks as you go, and each mask kind of gives you a different ability. Some of the iconic ones are the different race masks, like the Zora mask that turns you into a Zora, the Goron one, which turns you into a Goron, and the Deku mask, which of course turns you into a Deku. But there's tons of others, like the Giant's mask that makes you huge for one of the boss fights. It is so unique and so cool, but this game also, because of the 3-day cycle, gives you the ability to change time, to reset to the beginning, to fast forward, rewind, speed up, and slow down. It's just so cool and so unique. It also has one of the best dungeons in the whole series, in my opinion, the Stone Tower Temple, which is this really cool dungeon where you're kind of going up, but then you can flip it upside down. Just really unique. And Majora is kind of one of the most fascinating villains in the series as well. It's a cursed mask that kind of takes control of Skull Kid, and it's just a really unique story to be told, and it's littered with really cool oddball characters and side quests that you get to follow along your journey and get to know some of these really unique characters. It definitely was something that when I was a kid and playing, coming off of Ocarina of Time, it was kind of hard to wrap my head around, but the more I played it and the more I got used to it, it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. So here we are at number 1, and not only is this my favorite in the Zelda series, but it's also actually my favorite video game of all time, and that is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Now, when this game first got revealed, it was met with a bit of a backlash. People had seen a demo at Space World of a much different looking Zelda that was more akin to Ocarina of Time, but with better graphics. It showed off a sword fight between Link and Ganon, and people got really pumped for that. So when they saw this cartoon version of the game, people were like, what is this? And I'll admit, I was a bit apprehensive at first, but I am so glad that they made this style choice, because not only is this my favorite Zelda of all time, but it's my favorite art style of all time in the Zelda series. It is timeless and beautiful and holds up so well today. Another great thing about this art style is that Link has always been kind of a blank slate, lacking in personality. And because we got Toon Link in this one, he's so expressive and goofy and dorky and oozing with style. It is so cool. Another thing that I love about the Wind Waker is the combat system. It's my favorite in any of the Zelda games. It's very fluid and fast, and it has this cool kind of quick time parry mechanic, and you're able to flip over enemies and cut off their armor and use their weapons against them. And you can train and unlock a sword spin where you're just like spinning for 15 seconds until you're dizzy and out of it. It's so cool. The game has a sense of discovery that, while not as ambitious as Breath of the Wild, still is so epic. You get your boat and you're just setting off into the open ocean, not knowing what's out there, not knowing what to expect, what you're gonna discover, what each island has in store, what items and secrets you're gonna find. It's so much fun with huge like open world kraken boss that you fight in the ocean. So much fun. It's got stealth missions in Forsaken Fortress and great dungeons, fantastic boss fights. My favorite Ganondorf boss fight out of any of the games. In fact, it is my favorite version of Ganondorf out of any of the games. He's super dark, but also interesting and compelling. And by the end of the game, you kind of understand his motivations and why he's doing what he's doing, which I found really cool, as opposed to it just being just a bad guy who wants to destroy things and take over Hyrule. This game is so good. I've played it so many times. I look forward to playing it more. I'm crossing my fingers that we will get this thing on the Switch. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 5 Zelda games of all time. What did you think of my list? Did it rock? Or have I had one too many Korok seeds? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is GameBird Classic.